Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're watching me from. Thank you very much. We welcome you to our page where we talk about issues that affect our dear country, Nigeria. For those that have been within the shores of this country, Nigeria, for the past 2-3 years, if not to say from 2015, you would have noticed that the country has become one of the worst places to live in as far as the world is concerned. As we speak, people are no longer able to cope, people are no longer able to buy anything. The purchasing power of citizens has been eroded. As we speak, people are no longer able to cope with the offensive level of insecurity in the land. As we speak, people watch their children drop out of schools. They are not able to pay fees. As we speak, people struggle to eat just twice a day. As we speak, people are not able to start up their businesses anymore. All of these are bad management of the effect of bad or poor management of the economy, because all over the world we see genuine leaders working very hard, working assiduously to make their country succeed. For us as a country, our people have been made to understand quite erroneously that it is the destiny that God has given to Nigerians to suffer. But I do not think this is the case. I do not share that sentiment. I do not have that opinion. I believe that as far as we have human beings, good men and women who work across different facets of the economy in their respective countries to make their countries great, Nigeria should not be different. I expect that as beautiful as you have the streets of New York, as beautiful as you have the streets London, as beautiful as you have the cities in Ontario, Canada, and other beautiful places in the world, that Nigeria has what it takes to be better than all of that. All we have ever suffered as a country in our country, Nigeria, is bad leadership. And we must call it a stop. We must be determined. We must be purposeful. We must show the objective that we work towards. We must have the hope that this country can be great again. We must hold our leaders accountable, people that we vote into offices to represent us, to do certain things for us. There must be time that we have the right, that we realize our rights to call them to make account to us. I call on the federal government to realize how things have become for Nigerians. I call on the federal government to look at the economy of the country. As many parts of the country, workers agitate for increment of their wages. People are no longer able to cope. The private sectors are being forced out of businesses. This should not be so if the economy is well managed. As we speak, people have become incapable. People now have to ration meals for their children. As we speak, people have to try to praise themselves when they are able to provide just 2 meals for their children as against 3, which it should be. And not even the quality of the meal is now in consideration at all. This is not what it should be. The government should rise up to the occasion to ensure that things change. As we speak, we as the people must be determined to know where we are going as a nation. I call on the federal government to remember the policies that led to Operation Feed the Nation under the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo, who saw the economy and wanted the country to feed herself and engage in policies such as Operation Feed the Nation to encourage aggressive farming in the land. I encourage that the federal government, as led by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should gather up what he has saved from subsidy removal, distribute same among the state governors in Nigeria, who will further distribute the same fund to all the 774 local government in the council, depending on how many local government is under the state governor, to engage in aggressive farming that everybody can see. All local governments should be made to go into farming to produce some of these things that will be it maize, millet, yam, cassava, tomatoes. Our land that God has given to us is good. We can cultivate anything. We have the best of the soil to produce most of the things that we eat. It is quite erroneous that as a country we are not able to encourage people to produce same farm product that we need for our survival. I feel this is unfortunate. I feel that the only way to go out of this precarious situation that we face today is to encourage ourselves to go into aggressive farming. I want to encourage that all the state governors in Nigeria can distribute some funds to all the local government councils within their powers to engage in aggressive farming, produce most of the product, and flood the market with surplus of product, excess supply, and that alone will drag down the prices of goods and services. The inflation that currently bedevils the country will vanish. I want to encourage that the federal government must take the bold step to ensure that all our local refineries work within the next couple of months. I want to encourage the federal government. I want to encourage His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that the refineries work, because there is no sense for us to import what God has used to bless the country, crude oil, to other countries who will refine and will buy from them with their higher currency, when we are aware that our currency is weightless compared with their currencies. It is quite unfortunate for us to continue a situation like this, and it will not be a situation, it will not give us the hope that the situation will end soon if we continue in that retrogressive manner. I encourage the federal government to do everything it takes, everything that is deemed necessary to ensure that our refineries work, that we are able to refine our crude oil here, add the market value to it, sell to other countries in the world, and be able to generate enough receipts that will help to strengthen our naira against other currencies of the world. I want to encourage that the federal government should go into serious economic policies and price control measures to help us control the inflationary trend that is bedeviling our country, Nigeria, as we speak. Macroeconomic policies can be quite reliable if the federal government remembers to consult the experts in the land to put their heads together and ensure that there are policies to help control inflation and help control all the evils that are currently destroying the hope of Nigerians and the hope of staying in Nigeria. I want to encourage that the federal government or the state government or even the local government can look into the proliferation of unions in our market. As we speak, we now have unions of tomato sellers, unions of pepper sellers, unions of okra sellers. All of these are not good because they tend to reduce the competitiveness of the market. They make the market quite imperfect, and they encourage inflation. I want to encourage all the tiers of government in Nigeria to rise up to the occasion and ensure that there is a reduction in the number of unions that exist in our markets. So at this time, we expect that the prices of goods and services are perfectly fixed by the forces of demand and supply. It won't be good, does not help, it will not help us to go out of this ugly scenario if we continue to allow certain individuals to go into our market, all because of their greed to amass so much wealth and further milk the poor and dying Nigerians, fix the prices and make the people die buying some essential products. The federal government must rise up to the occasion and ensure that these Shylocks are removed from our marketplaces. I want to encourage the federal government to look at granting tax incentives to our farmers especially and other local manufacturers in the land. I want to encourage the federal government to please ensure that all policies around granting tax incentives or interest-free loans to strengthen smaller businesses, because they control a large percentage of our economy as a nation. Many of these companies, many of these businesses, they are struggling and they are out of it, and when they are not in the market, it increases the power of the very few large businesses we have, and that will go into monopolistic markets, and that alone causes inflationary trend. I want to encourage the federal government to ensure that tax incentives and other incentives are available to local manufacturers so that we can produce things at home, because at this time our situation as a country cannot improve if we do not encourage local production. I want to beg the federal government, I want to appeal to the federal government as led by His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu to please revise the policy around Operation Feed the Nation. I want the federal government to please stop importation of fuel, and it must stop now. Importation of fuel must stop now. Importation of products that we have, especially those we have a comparative advantage on, should stop now. We can stop by spending very little, by incurring little cost to produce most of these products and use them to flood our markets. Then the prices will drop. I want to encourage that the president should come out decisively to gather all the best brains in the land who are good, who understand economic situations, to come up with good and noble ideas that can take our nation forward. Again, I wish to repeat that all state governors in Nigeria should disburse some funds, especially as the effect of increased allocation owing to subsidy removal, should be used to finance local government aggressive farming projects. All the local governments in Nigeria, the 774 local governments in Nigeria, can go into aggressive farming, and once the products are beginning to come out to flood our markets, at least the people will be able to eat and will have someone to eat and extra to export abroad to generate foreign reserves. These are my points, these are my positions, and I hope all the authorities will get this, and I hope all of us as Nigerians must encourage our leaders, to be good. We must do our best to be good. We must do our best to help the country to become a great place. Thank you very much.